This week's episode of The Voice Party is brought to you by Bridge Storage and Art Space. Located in Richmond, California, they provide workshops, studio space, and self-storage for all your creative needs. Bridge Storage and Art Space, a catalyst for community building and the arts in Richmond, California.
What is up, everybody? Thank you for listening to The Voice Party. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
We have a very special guest. This man directed one of the first short films I was in that you were in, where we get the picture of Cholo Gaspar.
Yeah.
From
Not a pretty picture.
Which was filmed here at Bridge Art Space. Guest, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Amir, Youssef, and so happy to be here. Definitely bringing back some great memories being back here in Bridge Studios, huh? You know? I haven't been here in like 2 years.
2 years? It's been 2 years?
I think it's been 2 years since we filmed Initiation.
Oh, shoot, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And,
oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys, you know, were in that scene, and it just one of my favorite scenes, yeah.
Tell everybody what film that is. I just realized we didn't mention the film.
Yeah, so it's The Initiation.
The Initiation.
It's a short film that we filmed here together 2 years ago, and now it's wrapping up the festival circuit, so...
By the way, congratulations, because that film won how many awards? Like 12?
Well, you know, like it got some nominations, some awards. I haven't really counted exactly the number, but
after 20, you stopped counting.
No, yeah, but like it's done good, man.
Yeah, it's good,
been
man.
A good
Congratulations.
Run.
That was great to be part of, and you know, it was cool when we got to see the premiere, just because it was so fun to make. I mean, I don't know for you, but for me being part of it, it was fun, man.
It was definitely fun. Yeah. Like one of the funnest things I've ever been through. Yeah. And came out of it very energized to start working on the next one. So.
Which you already announced the name. You mentioned it.
Yeah, The Laughing Woo Woo. It's pre-production and very different film, very different feel. We're supposedly scheduled to film end of February. Okay. Given, you know, if everything goes well, you know, with COVID and
the world doesn't end.
The world doesn't end.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but currently working on that. Like, I actually was just doing the crowdfund campaign, like working on editing video. Took a break and just stopped by here to meet you guys. So.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
We're honored that you took the time out of your busy day to talk to us. And our listeners, I know, appreciate it as well. Because
it takes a lot to write and get everything in pre-production, right? Like, I didn't realize how much. I kind of saw it because I never really seen how much production it takes to shoot one 5-minute scene. Especially, like, from what I saw here as a live equipment, I was overwhelmed. Like, are you sure this is for the initiation? Like,
I was overwhelmed too. I looked pretty ill walking around set.
Stress, right?
Stress.
How was it like for the first time directing? That was your first time directing the initiation?
It's my first film, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was quite a journey, you know, like lots of learning, lots of ups and downs, you know, disappointments, but lots of rewards. Very fulfilling, you know, felt very alive making it.
What made you decide to make a film about a gang initiation? I was always wanting to ask you. I was like, he might be in some gang. I don't want to ask. I don't want to piss him off.
Yeah, just be careful. But I don't know, man. Like, it started off. It was a very serendipitous journey, really. Like, it started off with just like a blank page. With a title, The Initiation. I thought, you know, that's a great title for a first film.
Yeah.
And then it just started opening like more and more doors. And at the time I was reading, you know, books about, you know, like that type of lifestyle, and that literature just like kept opening more and more gates and more doors to explore and just, you know, learn more about, you know, that lifestyle and try to capture it in an honest way as much as possible, and see how I feel about it. And generally speaking, you know, at the time I really wanted to explore certain questions such as like what drives a person to go and live at the edge of society, and go to these extremes and be at risk at all times like that. So, and I came out of it learning a lot more about, there's a lot of good things that came out of it for me. Like I learned more about the Latino culture in general in the U.S. I've learned more about, Oakland, and just the Bay Area in general, and the demographics and the economics that go into our neighborhoods and define who we are. So all these factors coming together, it was quite the journey. Yeah. But honestly, where it started, it was just really a blank page, a title, and it took quite some time to get there. And I had some help too from people that without them I wouldn't have been able to make it happen. Right. Like for example, Alba Roland. Yeah, she definitely came on board like towards the final stretch before filming, and she came on board and helped with the script and in the production as well as a producer. So yeah, definitely quite the journey, and many people you can talk about as well in specific. So
and it seems like it opened doors for you to continue making films. I
mean, that's the goal, right? Yeah. You make a film, and your goal is just to make the next one. Yeah. Really, you're making it really just to make the next one. It's about that journey. So, yeah.
How was the writing process for this new film compared to, because you said you started off with a blank page, but this one, I know that there's some elements of you that come from you, right?
For the next one.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, not directly, but, the subtext of it. A lot of it is coming from my friends, from my community, and I mean, it's my first time to introduce an Egyptian character into my work. I'm Egyptian. Yeah. I moved here as in my teens, so I'm an Egyptian immigrant, and it's just quite an exciting thing to finally bring my culture into light through that character and through that voice. So. Right. A lot of these elements are coming from my friends, my circle, people I've met, and yeah.
How old were you when you came, you said?
I was 18.
18? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sorry, you had a question, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I just, out of curiosity, why did you wait until your second film to decide to focus a little bit more on your own culture? I've heard it said... A lot of writers have said, well, write what you know first and then, dive into the research later. And it seemed like you dove into, your first project was very research heavy. Like, let me sort of figure this out. And your second project is like, I'm going to talk more about where I'm from now. Was it the Cholo lifestyle, the gang lifestyle? Was that something that you were just always kind of interested in when you came over to the States and you're wanted to learn more and then develop from that? Or, did you maybe think about writing a little bit about Egyptian culture when you approached your first film in the beginning and changed your mind? Like, how did that come about?
I did. I definitely thought about exploring that from the get-go, but I was very protective of that. Initially I thought, I'm still learning and might as well go and use that learning experience to expand my knowledge into, I'm already outside of my comfort zone. Might as well just learn about, other cultures, other people, and just integrate more into these worlds that I've never been exposed to, right? And so I was a bit protective about, getting something more personal, and I still am, quite honestly. And it's just something I'm getting more and more used to open up into. More personal narratives, and it's just happening. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
No, I definitely appreciate that. I understand that a lot. Now, what are some of when you were preparing for the initiation? What's some of the literature that you read, for example?
Great question. I actually wanted to ask that too.
Yeah. So I honestly, I don't remember the title, and it's kind of embarrassing that I don't right now. But yeah, I've mentioned it a few times earlier, and
what's one of those big takeaways that you took from making the initiation? Because one of the things of course, I grew up watching like gang related films, and I think one thing you kind of captured very well about, because most gang films or mobster films or cholo films, they capture the cool side about being in a gang, and what you did with this one that I appreciated, I haven't really seen as much in other films that genre before, was the element of cult, like a cult society, how it is. Like the scene with the prayer is like, it's creepy. It's weird, but that's how it is. Essentially, it's a weird killing cult.
Definitely hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and was that like what inspired that in it?
Yeah, I actually just remembered the literature that I researched through, and one of them was Always Running.
Oh, yeah. Luis J. Rodriguez?
Oh, yeah, we teach that at the high school I work at.
Yeah.
So,
classic.
I was definitely inspired by him. As a person who brought art, from the life of the streets, or vice versa, like extracted, his path to express himself as an artist, as a poet, from his previous life. And that kind of inspired and informed, the main character, Pedro, the protagonist, who's, essentially an artist as well. He's a graffiti writer.
Yeah.
And as far as like how exactly I captured that cult feeling,
that tone,
that tone. I went and researched actual gangs and
MS-13.
MS-13,
That's what I thought of.
Kings, and I just researched the rituals, their initiation rituals, and I just understood what really goes into becoming a member and getting initiated into a gang, and I wanted to capture that. But as far
as captured it really well.
Oh yeah,
because it does. I mean, people can watch it online now, right?
Yeah.
So I also don't want to give away spoilers, but it has a lot of realness to the way the story folds out. A lot of those guys, their life doesn't end pretty, and even it's like some of those stories they portray. This you're gonna end in jail or whatever. This is like a very I saw it as a cautionary tale. Like you're trying to show. Was your intention to show a cautionary tale, or just kind of make this film about something you? Because it seemed like that. Like you could go show this in high schools.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
That's what I thought when I saw. Like, man, this would be great to show these little bad motherfuckers in those high schools that are living this.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioning that, but I had different versions of the script, and every single version, Pedro lived and Miguel died, and and I don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
But essentially, I felt like that character path and all the decisions that were made, it made more sense to keep it as realistic as possible, and just the cautionary part of it as well was essential,
Yeah.
And I wanted to stay true to the events that were happening in the story, and that's why I ended this way. So.
Yeah. Great film. I recommend to go watch.
Oh yes.
You came with me to the premiere of the cast premiere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was. Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was very well crafted film. I applaud your smart choice of having the gang wear black instead of the blue or red. I don't know who gave you. I'm assuming did you give him the?
It was just. That's what they decided, and it's funny. I remember we were talking about that. Should we wear what in this? And I remember because there's a gang in Oakland that wears all black. So I'm like, I hope we don't get approached. And then I saw armed security. Like, okay, cool. All right, but yeah.
But I think nationally, I think having the gang wear a color that isn't normally associated with street gangs, on a national level, makes it appeal to a broader audience, because any gang member can watch this film and maybe rethink their lives. They can see themselves in this blank color slate, like Blood, Crip, MS-13, Norte, Sereno, whoever can go, man, that could be me up there. It sends a different, I think, not message, but it makes it a little bit more closed if it's all red or all blue. This is clearly supposed to be the Nortes, and they're doing this. But a neutral color like that, or at least one that's not as widely adopted among like street gangs, I think it pushes the message further. So if that was the intention of the why, and not just the safety, well, let's make sure we don't get rolled up on in the middle of Oakland. Yeah. I applaud you for that, sir. I thought it was brilliant.
I thought about that a couple of times because like we were like all dressed and like, shit, here it comes, and these fancy cameras, like, but you know, again, luckily nothing happened. Another thing I wanted to talk about is how much can you share about the new film, or is this still not set in stone where you don't want to?
No, it's pretty set in stone.
It's pretty set in stone now. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, whatever. Ask away. You know.
Okay. Well, just because you mentioned the character is of Egyptian descent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This isn't autobiographical?
No.
Okay.
So it's a dramedy. First of all, it's a proof of concept short. So we're gonna try to like film that little short film, see how it looks and comes out, and the idea is to develop it into a feature-length film.
Oh wow!
So you know, long journey, different steps. The film is about an asylum seeker, somebody who just left Egypt in 2011. There's a revolution in Egypt.
Oh yeah.
The Arab Spring, and it just climaxed in Egypt back then.
Yeah.
And so lots of people left back then, and especially came here to the U.S. And the main character Simpson, he just navigates through immigration and basically he goes through like a set of bizarre events that are comedic in nature. Our approach is not the traditional way. Like, we're not looking at it from it's more of a satire.
Okay. Because there's that fine line, huh?
Yeah, there's a fine line, and then his only hope is greedy lawyer.
Okay.
And who's got this redneck persona, so to speak. And it's interesting to see those two characters navigate.
Is set here in California?
It's in San Francisco. San Francisco in 2011.
2011 San Francisco. No mask in sight.
No mask.
How do you make a period film that's nine years?
Yeah, I know,
past?
right?
Like,
because we haven't seen a lot of those.
Right.
Yeah, that's something I started thinking about too.
If you put on a movie that's from 2011, it's hard to tell it's from 2011. So is there something like, what do you have to become aware of, other than like the car year?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty contained. So first of all, like, what people are wearing, which is not far away from what we're wearing today, but like we can definitely go for that look. And then the visual language itself, we're filming on analog film, 16 millimeter, and that will add a bit of a nostalgic type of look to the film, and different elements that we have to be conscious about, and but generally it's not that difficult to make. It's not that difficult to. It's not that pricey, like
doing the 90s.
The 90s, or doing even like the 50s or 60s, or So it's definitely an era I'm very familiar with,
right.
So
which we can still remember.
Exactly. So.
What's been the sorry?
Oh, I had a curious, if you don't mind telling us, why did you move from Egypt? Like, what caused your migration?
Yeah, man, it's a great question. So my aunt lived here for decades before I moved here. So I used to visit a lot when I was growing up, and through her, we were invited to get like our green cards through my parents and through her, and I wanted to finish my education here. So I came and finished college, and just went through went to San Jose State and Santa Clara afterwards. And
what did you major in?
Engineering, electrical, and different field, right? But yeah, that's mainly the reason. And I wanted to go back actually to Egypt. My goal was like, you know, I'm gonna finish school and maybe I'll go back. And then, you know, just life happened, and I ended up feeling like this is home for me, and things, you know.
You gotta make a movie about the Cholos,
right? And the revolution happened in Egypt, 2011. You know, back then, and you know, it was a different time. And
you were here when in 2011?
I was here, yeah. And things are much stable there now. Like things are very different now, but.
That's not something that's really. Was it the story big when it happened here?
Huge.
Yeah,
it's huge. I mean, maybe not to like the American media.
Oh yeah,
but
2011.
You do see it, but you have to dig a little bit deeper.
Okay.
I mean,
I had to.
They were constantly reporting on it. Like back in 2011, I was listening to NPR on a regular basis, mostly for like, you know, This American Life. But at night, they would frequently have broadcasts from the BBC and our own reporting, and they were constantly talking about the Arab Spring. You know, the ISIS actually started out as a group of plucky rebels fighting for their freedom, and then eventually they turned into a crazy terrorist group, as branded by the media. Maybe, I don't know. But at some point it changed. Like we went and we supported who we thought were the rebels, and from what I understand, the rebels turned into crazy people. But let me ask you:
Is that how it is?
Yeah, I want to ask you what you feel about, like, you know, from someone who's actually from that area. Mm-hmm. What happened? Please clear that up for us. You know what
Nobody knows, man. It's like big question mark. I mean, no, just people generally, you know, wanted to, you know, it started off with three main needs and asks from, you know, the people, you know, which is freedom, you know, bread, and equality.
Yeah.
You know, it's just very universal asks, right?
And they usually just give you one.
And then, you know, and it just rippled through the region. And and it just caused this cause and effect that we're still seeing up till today. You know, it's just and people don't talk about the revolution that often anymore. It's just something that an event that happened triggered a few other events, and now it's just in the past, and nobody really dissects what happened, why, as much as you know, I thought it would be. And I think it's also because not enough time had passed yet, and people are just like still trying to analyze what happened back then.
And it's hard to keep up with what happens every day now.
That's true.
Well, Egypt's one of the places where they did knock down what was it, a dictator?
Yeah, it was Mubarak. He was he was president for like 30 plus years. So.
And then once he left, the military took over, and that wasn't any better, right? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, basically military, and then we got like another president, and then he was thrown off, and then another president. Now it's stable. So
yeah,
you know.
Whereas some other places, I think Yemen also had a similar situation. They're not doing great, and I think there might be another. It was a handful of countries where that.
Yeah, you got Yemen, Syria, Iraq. All these countries, Libya,
Tunisia,
still in turmoil. You know, like it's pretty sad. So.
Is it safe to say that the Arab Spring, the attempt to bring about all these wonderful ideals that even here in the States, you could arguably say a lot of us are still striving for to get it right? Would you say that it was a failure ultimately? Like, do you think that it's like there was this huge big wave and then it just kind of subsided, or do you think there's maybe one country that's come out of this okay? Like, they'll be fine 20 years from now. They've got it together.
You know, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't think I'm in position to really like say if it worked or didn't, if it was good or bad. But I do fundamentally support, you know, these universal asks. You know, I do fundamentally think there's a lot of work to be done, whether if it's going to be done through, you know, events like, you know, protesting and demonstrating and revolting, or whether if it's just through work and education and you know, building. It just, I think it's a piece of other steps of work that needs to be done. I think it's essential that it happen. I think it's it's something that was bound to happen anyways.
And
you know,
it like ripples into other stuff.
And it ripples into other stuff. Some are not good, and some are good. You know, and unfortunately, the ones that are not good is just because people take advantage of you know, the chaos and the things that are caused by these, you know, events, and obviously there are entities that might take advantage of that situation and try to make their own gains, and that can hurt other you know, people and countries in that regard. So, but overall, I think these are universal asks that, you know, like we need to keep working on them, and it's still a long way. So
Absolutely.
How much of what happened in Egypt is in this new film? Like, because you mentioned he comes from Egypt, the character, right?
Right. It's not really in the film in terms of
content. Like,
in terms of examining and exploring, you know, what's happening in Egypt, but it does overshadow like the future events, right? Mm-hmm. It does overshadow, you know, like who is this person? Why is he doing that? Mm-hmm. It does answer some of these questions, and yeah.
You mentioned earlier that your first film is now wrapping up, you know, on the old festival circuit. So with quarantine and COVID hitting, like I know that, what was it? I want to say the Cannes is one of them. There's a handful of film festivals that move their stuff just to YouTube. They're like, all the things this year, YouTube. You don't have to fly to France to watch us. Is that what's happened largely with the film that you have got, like near this tail end? Has it been digitally distributed mostly, or are there some festivals that tried to get together with small gatherings? What was that like during the tail end of this?
It was mostly virtual. I was lucky, actually. I attended like a couple of festivals in the beginning until February, and then that was it. Like the rest.
Like Oregon, you went to Oregon, right?
Oregon, yeah. And basically, you know, since March it's all been online, and you know, I think we're still lucky that it happened. People got to see the film, you know, and still very happy that it happened. It's unfortunate because I really was looking forward to meet other filmmakers in person, you know, and just like being that festival scene and get to see the film on the big screen as much as possible, because that's the best experience for me. Yeah. When viewing the film. So.
Do you think it broadened though the audience? Because I mean, I played it for, you know, when it was in Oxford.
Yeah.
I played it for a bunch of my friends, and like we watched it. Do you think it kind of added more people saw it that wouldn't have seen it?
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely. That's one of the things for COVID. Going forward, as far as filming with COVID, like how's that going to change for you? Like, is there? Because I know independent films are the ones that are mostly making films right now, with independent filmmakers with this COVID thing happening. Because a lot of the studios, they shut down.
They don't have to follow the same rules.
Yeah, all the guerrilla filmmaking, you know, you get used to like doing everything on the low, and there's few people around. And
have you guys been tested? All right, let's go ahead. Let's do this kiss scene. Go ahead.
We're actually gonna get like a COVID compliance officer. We're gonna just try to do it the right way, you know, be responsible. And I mean, it's a skeleton crew, regardless, and I think that's why a lot of indie films manage to make it, because that's what we typically have in an indie set most of the time. So
it's like, skeleton crew, that's Tuesday for us. Me and Phil can tell you all about that.
Oh yeah, that's good to hear, man, because that's like the, you know, I work in these job sites, and you know, at the front door they have this person who's a COVID compliance. Hey, do you have a fever? No. Okay. You're good to go. Go ahead. Like, it's scary. It's scary.
It is. Times, man.
No. $18 an hour.
$18 an hour. Yeah. So it is like, are you, as far as being an independent filmmaker, what's one of the, for anyone listening, because we have a lot of young filmmakers that listen, what's one of those things that you didn't realize once everything's set, like, oh my God, I forgot about this, like something that you would tell your younger self to prepare for when taking on a project that could potentially grow legs of its own, like The Initiation did?
Yeah, like the biggest advice is I don't know, like take more time in the writing process. Write a few, screenplays that you like, just to like develop your craft as a writer. If you're a writer director, to start with, and generally speaking, man, like just go out and do it. Just go out and do it. Don't like wait for results. Don't wait for like a certain success or put like a certain bar to hit. Like just enjoy the journey. It's gonna be lots of ups and downs, but you just go for it, and that's the most fulfilling part. Like really, it's about like going through that. Yeah. And generally speaking, I mean, filmmaking is not easy, so don't expect things just to happen.
One of the things I realized, it's your first film it's also the first film you wrote, right?
Yeah. And
you directed a lot of non-actors.
Yeah, man, that was
That's gotta be hard. A lot of knuckleheads, like, well, but yeah, a lot of non-actors. I remember the day we did that scene here. It's like, how many of these guys? I think Carlos was the only actor, and Pedro, the
main characters.
The main character.
Everybody else was even some of the main characters were first timers.
Yeah. Like David was a first-time actor.
Yeah, I believe everyone was the first time on film. I think Carlos was more of a stage actor. Yeah, did more like, but this is like his first like indie film to work on, and same with Christopher, who played Pedro. That's his first film. Asiana, that's her first.
Oh, I thought they were okay.
Was the one who played the homeless, was he a first timer? Was he an actor?
Pancho.
He was too. Yeah. Everybody.
Like, no, he was actually homeless. And that's how much of a first time actor he was.
A lot of people say, "Wow, he looks really
off
homeless."
the street."
It's like,
as a compliment, right?
It's like, are you doing anything? Here's $5. All right, now walk down here and push the cart. Thank you.
It's funny.
That's how real it looked. Like, it looked like he was really.
David, my friend, the one that hey, what are you doing Saturday? Not much. You want to go to this thing? Yeah. And then he landed a role. Like, but he was a natural villain. Like that was great. You have a good eye, man. Like as far as things like that, because he did have a menacing look.
He had it.
He's a goofy guy.
I was like, that's him.
Yeah.
I've been looking for you, man.
He got that when we did that a stunt class with Archimedes, and I was like, man, he's checking you out, bro. Like not like that, but
no. He's analyzing for a potential
and he
part.
saw, and it's like, hey man, I just brought my little homie to hang out, because and he So I hope I can do that for you again in the future. I have this gift of like, hey, are you busy for it? And it ends up working.
Yeah, sometimes
somehow.
I'm on the end of that call.
See, I would argue that, tell me if you agree, but I think that if you are going after people who haven't had a whole lot of acting experience, it is a huge importance to be able to see something in them and go, you know what, this person has some moxie that I could probably push in this direction. This person, like matching who the people already are to the characters that you have to give them. Absolutely. Versus be the chameleon. It's like, no, I'm going to put you here.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you gotta make it happen, right? And every single one of them did an amazing job, and they put the work, and we rehearsed a lot. We did a ton of rehearsals. We kind of like just relived the film before being on set, really. And I mean, you were there when we did all the choreography,
which I didn't think it was gonna be that complex, but it's really easy to hurt somebody.
It's really easy to hurt somebody, and
or hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Or accidentally hit the camera.
Which, who did that?
Me.
He did. He hit the cameraman. So what was his name? Evan,
you did that?
He punched him, man, by accident, because we were doing the scene and he got too close. Like, hey, man,
you can't
we're jumping this fool in. You gotta
do that
chill
when
out.
You got thugs around.
We apologize to Evan. I don't know if he ever listens to this. But he punched the cameraman, and I remember looking at him like, you motherfucker.
Oh man.
But it was a lot of fun, man. Like I've done other like short films before that, and we did a music video and stuff like that, but I had never seen that many people on that level, and it was just.
How did you get your crew?
How did I get my crew? I mean, I knew a lot of folks that were on set from like me being on other films, like doing crew work on other films, and then some came through Alba, some through.
So you weren't completely green.
No, I've had like crew experiences before. Yeah, you know, the camera crew, you know, Evan also helped with, you know, people he knows. He's a phenomenal, you know, person to work with, and we're just like, I was very lucky to collaborate with him on the first film, and you know, and so shout out to Evan as well. Yeah, we had a fantastic group, man. Like, it all came together. People were excited to be on set, and you know, I'm happy to hear that everybody had a great time. So
it was a lot of fun. From as far as, you know, from my experience, it was a lot of fun. And I have a confession. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you. Originally, I was gonna go audition for Miguel.
No way.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I had talked to one of the casting agents.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot his name. We emailed back and forth, and that weekend, I think we did. We did a show. Someone booked me on a comedy show. And, you know, I'm always been more comfortable with the stand-up than acting. Yeah. So I canceled it, unfortunately, because a last-minute paid gig came up. And it's like, cool. You know, I think we were on that together. Mm-hmm. And so we went and do that. And I felt bad because I was like, oh, man, I kind of wanted to be involved. I've always wanted to be in a Cholo film. Or, you know, like I feel like that's probably my niche. I feel like I should try to get into that. And, yeah, I was going to audition for Miguel.
Damn, dude. Yeah. Like, I did not know.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's crazy.
And then eventually I heard you guys were looking for extras. Like, oh, yeah. I kind of felt more comfortable auditioning for an extra role than, you know, like a you know, I felt less pressure, and it'll be fun. And we, it was fun. And it was like,
yeah, man. And you had lines. The whole prayer thing, you guys killed it. You guys brought it to life. And it was amazing, and the whole group that came together, you helped a lot with just finding like more people to be in that scene, and it just came out.
Thank you, fantastic. Man. And you gave me a casting credit, so I appreciate that. For sure. That's you know, that's when I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna start signing autographs. Yeah. No, but it was definitely, like, for me, a learning experience. And you know, I have worked with other people before, like smaller stuff like, you were very approachable as a director. That's not always the case. You know, also Phil, director, like you guys are very, very approachable. Yeah. And I think that was huge for like everyone feeling comfortable.
Man. Like,
because it's like some directors like, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble if I ask him a question. Not like that, but you know, you have that feeling like not approachable. And you know, for the first time directing, it didn't feel like that way.
Definitely. I mean, thanks, man, for that. That's great to hear. I mean, the idea, it's a collaborative work. You know, filmmaking. You can't make a film on your own. There's no way. Yeah. And you got to get people comfortable, excited, and really like just give them their space to you know, put part of themselves into their work as well, you know. And the idea is just to inspire them to do that, you know. And yeah, I was really happy to have you guys on that film. So.
Thank you, man. I was excited to be there. Another question I had for you is, so far everything, it seems to be, you know, stuff you write and then you also direct. Is that the goal for you to make films that you write, or are you also open to having put something on screen that you don't write?
Yeah, no, definitely open to direct other people's, you know, scripts or screenplays. You know, I'm very open to that. Matter of fact, I'm actually, you know, working on developing like a pilot that's you know, that I might actually be a co-writer on, but you know, so that's another thing in the works, and definitely open to, if it's the right piece for me, definitely.
That's awesome, man.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you this about the initiation. As far as the final cut, was that like since it was your first time, it was your first film?
Yeah.
How was that? Because I know I've listened to interviews with like was it Exorcist guy William Friedkin and other filmmakers, and they talk about, you know, when they watch the film as it is, sometimes, like, for example, William Friedkin, he watched it in like, I forgot what year, like 30 years after. Remember they re-released The Exorcist?
Yeah, and they gave it some footage.
They added footage that they cut off. Is that ever crossed your mind when you watched the final film? Like, man, I kind of want to.
Always.
It's like never ending.
I try not to watch it, really.
How do you feel about that? Like, do you have other edits that you maybe want to release, or do you want to just leave it alone and move on? Because that could drive you crazy, I'm sure.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's funny because this was the first time for me to edit a film as well, and the first cut that came out was so terrible. Like, you know, like I felt really bad about it, and just kept working on it a little bit here and there. Mm-hmm. And then until it finally nicely came out together, like the way I wanted it to come out. There were times when I thought, you know, I should have made it a lot shorter, you know.
What's the running time?
It's 19 minutes.
19 minutes.
And you know, for some people that's a long run time for a short film, but I mean, it felt like it's the right pacing. It felt like it's the right amount of, you know, footage and to tell the story that you know,
it hits the points right, appropriate amount of time.
Yeah. So for me, it felt right. But you know, up to this day, I still whenever I watch it, I still, you know, when you work on something for so long, you kind of like see the flaws all the time.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away that, you know, it was a fun ride to, you know.
And it's a good piece of work. Like, it you know, just watching it, like,
oh, beautiful.
So that's the good thing about it, you know, and that's also why, as far as like filmmaking, and that's why I like stand-up. Like, we could do one joke and do it differently one day and do it differently the next night, and, you know, you get the same response out of people. With the film, sometimes you're like watching it and then your 90th film film's like, man, I wish I could have. So I know there's like an internal struggle with the artist, you know?
I mean, nowadays, if there's a new president, I think to this, Zack Snyder has shown, if nothing else, that if you can garner up enough buzz around a well-loved, not well-loved, but any film, I'm just going to say any film, if you can garner up a buzz around any film and say, look, I have another version of this that's better, and you can get enough people frothing at the mouth to ask for it, you can have an opportunity to include all the things that left out on the cutting room floor that you wish you hadn't.
Yeah, that's true.
You're about to get a 3-4 hour version of Justice League coming up.
Really?
And like, yeah.
It's still going to suck. No offense, but I don't think there's any saving that film. I mean, you know, an extra deleted scenes on The Godfather, okay, but, you know.
Well, the idea was that the film wasn't as good as it could have been because Josh Whedon shot half of it, and Zach's was like, look, if you put in everything I shot and take out everything Josh Whedon shot, you're gonna have a better movie. And
that's a big stretch, though.
I will say this much: I don't have a whole lot of faith in the dialogue or the plot, but Zack Snyder, in my opinion, has some of the best visuals in the industry, especially when it comes to the genre stuff. So if you turn the volume down and you just want to look at really beautiful pictures,
just look at
for
books.
3 hours, you know, you got a great film.
That's
art. You know,
brings up a good point. What are some of the films that you watched that made you want to make movies?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, I grew up in Egypt, right? So a lot of the films I watch are Egyptian films, and the cinema stretches back there, like, you know, I think it's over 100+ years. Wow. And so they got the history, and one of my favorite films is Il Kit Kat, and it's you know, set up in, I think, in the early 90s. Beautiful film, and that movie really inspired me, and Dawood Abd Said, that's the name of the director, is for me like somebody I look up to.
Okay.
And as far as like here, you know, like in the, you know, U.S. and international cinema, lots of inspirations, you know, like Stanley Kubrick, David Fincher, you know, Coen Brothers, Denis Villeneuve, pretty much, you know. people that are coming up, Robert Eggers, you know, like there's so many people, Alfonso Cuarón, Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, the list just goes on and on. And
now you mentioned these filmmakers, like the score makes sense of The Initiation, because the score added the eeriness to it. Did you? Because did you have it made by a musician or?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Okay, so there's not stuff you bought online. It was just
Karim El Mahmoudi, and
that was really good.
He's
really good,
top notch, and I mean we worked a lot on the music. Like we start off like with my vision for the music and how it would work for the story, and then he brought his vision, and we kind of like worked through it. I'm not a musician, but you know, but obviously I wanted a certain feel for the film, and he did a fantastic job. Like he really killed it. So
it was really good. It added an element that you know, it kind of just, it's like a bowl of cereal, and then that was the milk. it feels it complete, you know. I wanted to ask you, as far as, because now you called it a dramedy, the new film, The Laughing Woo Woo. Has that been a challenge, writing like comedic elements into, because you know we went from The Initiation, writing something serious, to now. What's been the challenge there?
It's been smoother. I don't know. Like it's been smoother for some reason. I mean, if you know me, like in my private setting, in my like circle, my personality is more of a sarcastic type. It's more of a, you know, and
you have a healthy sense of humor. Because when I was joking a lot on net, like you would laugh like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then like so the movies that I like the most is, you know, is on that line, that the movies that make me feel on a deeper level and like still come up with you know, the thoughts and ideas behind it, and be able to digest these thoughts and ideas and feelings, are typically dramedies. You know, for some reason I view the world, I don't know, I view the world as, it's not just like, you know, terror and sadness and just joy and laughter, and it's not just like, you know, like that. It's just a mix between both, and I feel like it's the best way for me to like put something together that expresses how I feel about a topic. So
it's a really good balance, because I feel like dramedies, if you know, the seriousness of the plot, those little moments of laughter and humor, they kind of let you breathe from the heaviness of the story, you know, whether it's a horror film or you know, so some horror have comedy into it, or example of Goodfellas, they have those scenes where it's funny and it's like, Jesus, this is scary, but it's kind of funny. I shouldn't be laughing at this. They just shot Spider.
or like The Departed, when Jack Nicholson executes that couple, and then I think he laughs, and he's like, his number two in command is like, well, what's so funny? And he's like, they fell wrong. and then like his number two is like, you should really see somebody. Yeah. Like
that's how life is. Like, you know, I don't want to keep you up too long. Where can people go and watch the Initiation, and also where can people contact you if you want them to contact you or follow your work?
Yeah, I mean, The Initiation is available on Vimeo. And you know, it's also attached to a link on my Instagram account. And it's Amir NU. And you know, I would love to hear how people think about it and feel about the film, and so hit me up.
And if people want to watch Egyptian movies,
because I know I was meant to ask about the film that you mentioned. I like
it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Okay. Well, I'll get the link from you later. Because I didn't get the spelling of it. You know, it's a whole.
It's like the chocolate. Kit Kat.
Okay.
El Kit Kat.
It was one of the things I thought it was cool, like that you came and like, well, I don't know, this might sound stupid to you, but you came from Egypt, and then you came to California, and you'd made a film about like Latinos, like you specific that gang. It didn't really have was Mexican gang, or
in the film? I mean, naturally, it's a Mexican gang because in California, Oakland, that's the majority of Latino population.
So it's like these two, we made pyramids, you made pyramids, and it's like it was. I don't know why I thought about that. Like
we got mummies, you got mummies.
Yeah, I thought this is special. It was awesome.
You nailed it. That's why I got into the initiation.
Yeah, man.
Like the same aliens visited both our countries.
Yeah, much.
Same aliens. That's disrespectful.
We created them. We created them.
As far as the laughing woo woo, I mean, once that comes out, what's the plans for like the film? Because I know with COVID, I don't know how long it's gonna be where we can go out again and do, screenings.
Yeah, that really the plan is to get people excited and try to land, financing for a feature. That's the long-term goal.
Yeah.
So.
Also, this one's a feature.
It's a short proof of concept, and the idea is to develop it into a feature next year. So.
Where if people wanted to help you with the crowdfund, like where?
We're definitely gonna need that. So.
Empty out your piggy banks, motherfuckers. We need to make this film.
Yeah. So we're launching the campaign next week.
Okay.
Hopefully, if everything goes well, finalizing, little pieces here and there. So for on track, it's going to be out next week, and it should be available for everyone to see more, like casting crew, who's involved, and
That's awesome.
It's a communal thing to make a film. It's a communal thing, especially indie film work. You can't do it on your own. So.
Right, and I guess it's a good time to now. I have a small role in the Laughing Woo Woo, so we'll be working with Amir again. I look forward to it, man.
Yeah, man. Definitely looking forward to it. And there's a few people that are actually familiar faces from the initiation. Carlos, Pancho.
Nice.
Yeah. So, man, it's gonna.
Well, if you need any creepy extras,
hey, man. Yeah, I was about to talk to you.
You're gonna tell me you need creepy extras? I'm kidding.
We need you to not be creepy for.
Oh, I don't know if I fit though.
If you need an angry black man. I have acting experience, so
we're gonna make them feel uncomfortable right now. Hey, we're always plugging ourselves.
He was gonna cast us.
This show is at least 1/4 network. So.
1/4. I apologize, Amir. I'm sorry for my friends.
So embarrassing, aren't we?
Any like, what would the crowd? Where can we find the crowdfund? Like, if
it's gonna be on Seed and Spark.
Okay.
So
yeah. I have a couple millionaire friends. I'll be sure to send it to them. Any closing thoughts? Any last little messages you want to send out to the world about Amir?
Well, JD, first of all, thanks, man. You've been my first film. This is my first podcast, so you're just like
a lot of firsts,
man. And really happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for doing this, man. I appreciate it. You taking your time.
Definitely, man. It's an honor, and enjoy meeting you guys. Like, seriously, this is really cool that you guys are coming together and doing something fun like this. And
appreciate it.
Watch out for the Laughing Woo Woo, and we'd love to hear your thoughts about the initiation. And hope you enjoy it. So. Yeah.
Cool, man. All right, guys, that's been The Voice Party. We're out.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. What does woo-woo mean?
Woo, that's like something more like a spiritual